Why? Hello everyone, Jacob here, and I am back with another installment of the Quack, and this week, we're gonna touch on the remaster generation. I touched on this here and there. I haven't really made like a dedicated video about this problem. It needs to be talked about, it really needs to be, because we are entering this generation where people are kind of being bred and brought up thinking that remasters and re-releases of games and these constant like updated ports are commonplace. That didn't really used to happen back in the day. I literally cannot remember a time where this was this prevalent in the gaming industry, because I don't believe that it happened ever. Sure, you had like your re-releases and your collections that happened to make stuff more accessible to other people, like especially with arcade re-releases, but for the most part, you didn't have these upgraded ports, you didn't have these remasters of old games. That didn't really seem to become more commonplace until the 6th generation, when we saw stuff like Conker's Live and Reloaded, we saw the Resident Evil remake. But the thing with those is those were like heavily upgraded. Those games looked and felt better as a whole. I mean, if you wanted to play the first Resident Evil, you played the GameCube remake of that game. Like, you didn't play the old one, you played that one. So we're seeing a new generation of gamers who are coming up and being brought up thinking that this is commonplace, like this is normal for people to ride off of the success of past generations. And while that's fine, to an extent, you know, there are things about remasters and remakes of games that I am absolutely 100% for. But it seems to be having a wholly negative effect on the industry rather than having a positive one. Because when I was younger, I don't even remember the concept of remastering happening. I remember thinking that, like, oh, you know, I really want to have Sonic on my Super Nintendo. Now, the positives about remasters, like, believe it or not, there are definitely some. With a lot of games, it makes it available for a current generation of gamers. Like, it improves a lot of things, it fixes things, and makes them more modernized. And that's great, and that's what we want. It also cleans up the graphics, maybe cleans up the presentation, maybe fixes some of the audio files. Sometimes it even goes as far as to fixing, like, entire gameplay sections of it and different mechanics and overhauling them and making them better for you. And those are the kind of games that I absolutely praise, and those are the ones that I want to give my money towards. And then there are the remasters of games that have been out for a year or two and literally are just cash grabs, and you can tell. The negative effect this is having on people is they're expected to keep buying into the problem of sequelitis. They're expected to keep buying the same game over and over again at full price, and it's not worth it. There are certainly remasters out there that I understand why they exist, but it's still not what I want to see. The Last of Us Remastered is a great game. It's absolutely wonderful. When a lot of people went from the Xbox 360 to the PS4, I could understand why like Sony would want to re-release one of their highest profile games from Naughty Dog, and just in general actually, and put that out there for the current generation of people to play. And it didn't really improve much other than just, you know, improve graphics, frame rate, the standard, included the DLC. And what this is doing is it's creating a trend of AAA games to just do that. To just literally take the same base code and just slightly change it, repackage it, and sell it for full retail price. It's a little pretentious and cocky of the developer to think that their re-release game is worth a full retail price, because it's not. I didn't have a huge problem with this in the 7th generation because we were getting a lot of HD collections of PS2 games and they were improved quite a bit. You know, better frame rate, better graphics, but they were collections. And they were charging less for them than full retail price games because they understood that you're just rebuying old games. And this is why I'm going to sit on this pedestal and I'm going to defend the Zelda remasters. A lot of people seem to have some issues with those, and normally they're the ones that are non-Nintendo gamers, but I'm going to do that right now. Ocarina of Time 3D, the first one we saw. Fantastic! Fantastic! Added the entire new Master Quest, the game was rebuilt from the ground up, the engine was completely overhauled, the frame rate has been improved, everything about Ocarina of Time 3D is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite video game remakes of all time. That game is stellar, 10 out of 10. Please buy it if you have a 3DS, the game is wonderful. If you haven't experienced Ocarina of Time, that's the way to go. I don't know why people keep saying that the N64 one is better, because it's not. Objectively, it's not better. That can easily be argued. Honestly, whenever I talk about HD remakes and when I talk about the good ones, I always talk about Wind Waker HD, because it has the best examples of tweaking gameplay problems that happened back, you know, in, what was it, 2002 when it came out? It fixes mechanics, it improves it. Oh, the game is breathtaking to look at. Like, that's why you strive for a good art style when a game comes out, and then if you want to remake it, then you can make it look even better and improve on it. And that's what Wind Waker HD did. Did it need an HD remake? No, of course not. The game still looks absolutely breathtaking on the GameCube, and if you haven't played it, you should definitely play that. Majora's Mask 3D. There are so many interesting and unique concepts that were brought to this remaster, and I kind of think it's a good parallel for how the original game was built, the original ideology for the first Majora's Mask back in 2000, yeah. Things like the Bomber's Notebook and, you know, changing the way the saving system works and making sure the game is more accessible to newer players, and that's great. All of that stuff has been improved. Those are the kinds of things I want to see from remakes and remasters. I want them to take advantage of the new hardware. I want them to overhaul gameplay mechanics and fix things that were a huge problem. I don't want just improved graphics and frame rate. That tells me that you think your game is perfect, and it's not. No game is perfect. Every game has problems. At the end of the day, we're the issue. You know, I can't blame the industry for doing what's gonna make them money. You know, guys, I get it. You know, if you're a developer out there and you're somehow watching this, I get it. You gotta make money. You know, I understand that game budgets are huge nowadays, but find cool ways to make smaller budgeted titles and release those to the public. That's something I love about Ubisoft right now, is they're focusing some of their strategies on the UbiArt engine. And I love that because they're making some really cool, sick titles with that. Things like Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends, Child of Light, Valiant Hearts The Great War. These are all phenomenal, really cool, intricate, smaller games. Because if your entire thought process when you're making a game is just to make it bigger and cleaner and prettier than last time, then you're not really making anything that's much better. And that's why I have issues with things like Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty and Battlefield, because they don't seem to get the idea of, oh, let's do something entirely different. I just recently played through Journey again with friends, and I loved it. That's what I want to see from the gaming industry. I want to see new things like that. Focus on a really interesting and beautiful art style than focusing on the most realistic graphics that you can get. Because at the end of the day, those don't age well. We've seen that. I think this is starting to become kind of a standard problem. I think people are realizing that, oh, this generation is literally just the remaster generation. And that's good, and that's what I want to see. I want people to wake themselves up and realize that, you know, we haven't gotten hardly anything new this generation. At least on the PS4 and the Xbox One. You know, I can't say that really for my Wii U because, you know, we've gotten Wind Waker HD, Legend of K Anniversary, and DuckTales Remastered. Those are the only remasters or remakes of games that we've gotten. And I love that. Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, Deadpool, Final Fantasy VII, Day of the Tentacle Special Edition, Ratchet & Clank, Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, Uncharted the Nathan Drake Collection, Tearaway Unfolded, Dishonored Definitive Edition, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, God of War 3 Remastered, Gravity Rush Remastered, Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, DMC Devil May Cry Definitive Edition, Resident Evil HD Remaster, Payday 2 Crime Wave Edition, Final Fantasy X and X-2 Remastered, State of Decay Year 1 Survival Edition, Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, DuckTales Remastered, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD, Borderlands The Handsome Collection, Final Fantasy Type O HD, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Legend of K Anniversary, Grim Fandango Remastered, Saints Row 4 Re-Elected, Grand Theft Auto 5, Halo the Master Chief Collection, Bayonetta Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, Metro Redux, Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition, The Last of Us Remastered, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition.